what's the price of a stock? Well, the price of a stock is the value of the stock. It's the same as it's the value of anything that we look at, and it's simply the present value of all the expected cash flows. And when we talk about the present value of a cash flow, we use the term discounted cash flow frequently. And so basically, if you want to know what the value of a stock is, what are the expected cash flows? What's the right discount rate? Discount all those expected cash flows, add them up, there's your price of a stock. So one of the questions is, what are the expected cash flows? And if you own a stock, there's two ways that you can receive cash. One, you own that stock, the company will pay you dividends. And as long as you own the stock, the company every quarter or every year, however often they pay dividends, that whatever dividends they pay, you'll get a check in the mail. The other way that you can receive cash is if you sell your shares. And if you sell your shares, then whatever the expected price is at that point in time that you sell your shares, that's how much money you would anticipate getting. So whatever the price actually is, that's how much money you would actually get. But once you sell your shares, you don't own the stock anymore, you no longer receive dividends. So you basically would get a bunch of dividends, and then you can sell your stock and get the price, and then you would no longer receive dividends. What if we held the stock for one period? So we have a piece of paper today. What we plan on doing is in one period, a quarter if it's quarterly dividends, a year if it's annual dividends, we plan on selling our stock. Let's look at how we can use the information to find the price of the stock. Well, if we're going to sell the stock in one period, here we are today with a piece of paper and we want to know what it's worth. In one period, we expect the company to pay us some dividend, and that's money that would go in our pocket. We also then expect to sell it, and we could sell the stock for whatever we expect it to be worth. Whatever it is worth is what we sell it for. What do we expect it to be worth? That's what we expect the cash flow to be. So D1 plus P1 reflects how much money we would expect to be paid in 1 year. The dividend is what we expect to put in our one pocket because of the check in the mail from the company. P1 is what we expect to put in the other pocket because we would sell our stock. But if we get that money in a year, that's not what the price of the stock is. Or in one period, we need to discount it by 1 plus R. So the price would simply be D1 plus P1, which again is the sum of the expected dividend and the price, all over 1 plus R. And what is R? R is the expected annual return. So what do we expect the return to be over a whole year? But then do we need to make sure that the discount rate's the actual appropriate rate for a period of the length of how often dividends are paid? So you need to divide it by the number of dividends per year, the number of periods per year, the number of dividends per year. So basically, if dividends are paid annually, the discount rate R is the annual expected return. If they're paid quarterly, then in this case, this is a 3-month period. Here we have 4 periods. That would reflect a year. We'd need the rate for a period of 3 months. So you would take the annual and divide by 4. More generally, and this is really important to understand, the price at any point in time is equal to the dividend that is expected 1 period later plus the price that's expected 1 period later divided by 1 plus R. And again, think about it as a time machine. You take the time machine, you get out here, you have a piece of paper, and you want to know how much is that piece of paper worth. Well, look, in 1 period, I expect this dividend. In 1 period, I expect this price, but it's 1 period after you get out of the time machine, so you need to discount it by dividing by 1 plus R. One point to make is you might say, well, wait a minute, if I get out of the time machine, I want to know about the piece of paper. What about the dividend that gets paid at that point in time too? One of the assumptions that we're going to make is that when we value a stock, when we get out of our time machine and say how much is the stock worth, we're going to assume that the dividend just got paid. Another way to view it is dividends get paid in the morning, stocks get priced in the afternoon. And that's actually what it says on this page where, if we're going to value a stock at the same time that we pay a dividend, assume the dividend is paid just before the stock's valued. Dividends in the morning, values in the afternoon. Another important note, when we talk about the value of a stock, It's its present value or its market value, and it's also its price. In a well-functioning market, which we're assuming these financial markets are, price is equal to value. If price was greater than value, nobody would want to buy it. If price was less than value, everybody would want to buy the stock. And the only way you can have equilibrium is for price to equal value. So let's look at a few examples. We have Aspen stock, annual expected return of 20%, annual dividend of $2 in a year. So in 1 year we expect $2, and in 1 year we expect the price of it to be 14, so we could sell it for 14. So we want to know what the price is today, and here we have a stock where in 1 year we expect it to put $2 in our pocket from a dividend. We expect to be able to sell it to put another 14 in our pocket, but that's in 1 year, so we need the 1 year discount rate, which we're given is 20%. So the answer is simply 16, which is the amount of money that we expect in our pocket in a year, discounted back 1 period. The price of the stock is $13.33. We want to know what dividend Validor stock is expected to pay in 3 months. The stock's currently priced at $25, has an annual expected return of 16%. So the annual return is 16%, and we want to know what the dividend is expected to be in 3 months, and the price in 3 months is expected to be $25.50, and we want to know the dividend. So here we are in a world where a period is 3 months, and we have an expected return of 16%. So if the return for a whole year is 16%, what's going to be the return for a quarter? It's simply going to be 16% divided by 4. 4% is the discount rate. So what we want to know is what's the dividend, such that in 3 months, if I get this dividend in my pocket and I have $25.50 in my other pocket because I anticipate being able to sell the stock for that the present value of these discounted by 1.04 is equal to $25. So that's what we have. The reason the price is the reason the value of the stock, the reason the price is $25 today is because the aggregate of the wealth that we expect to have in 3 months has a present value of $25. So now it's just algebra. Multiply both sides by 1.04, and that's actually $26, and that's equal to D1 plus $25.50. Subtract $25.50, and we expect a dividend of 50 cents. So again, if we have a dividend of 50 cents, and if we expect to get paid a dividend of 50 cents in 3 months, and we expect to get $25.50, we would expect to have $26 in our pocket in 3 months, and 26 divided by 1.04 is worth $25 today. Finally, we want to know what the price of Pitches stock is expected to be in 2 years. In 1 year, it's expected to be priced at 43, $10 dividend in 2 years, and it has an expected return of 12% per year. And one of the reasons I like this problem is we've got a situation where we're given a price in 1 period. And we often, like we've seen in the previous 2 examples, P1 is kind of the later price. And then we discount it to get the more recent price. But in this case, the price in 1 year is actually the more recent price, the expected price. So again, take your time machine out here, you get out, and you have a piece of paper that's worth $43. And why is it worth $43? Because 1 year later, you expect to have $10 in your pocket from the dividend, plus you expect that you would have a piece of paper worth a certain amount, so you could sell it and put that amount of money in your pocket. Add 10 plus P2, divide by 1.12, since everything is a year here, and you get $43. So again, the reason the price is expected to be worth $43 in 1 year from today is that because 1 year later after that, which is 2 years from today, we'd expect to have the 10 in our pocket, plus be able to sell it for that, discount it back by 1 period. And again, now you're back, multiply both sides by 1.12, subtract 10, and the price is expected to be $38.16. One of the other things I like about this example is notice the price of the stock is expected to go down from $43 to $38.16. And one reason somebody might say, wait a minute, that's a horrible stock. Why would anybody want that $43 seems like, we got the price wrong. Well, remember, total dollar return involves two pieces, dividend and expected capital gain. And in this case, you've got a very, very big dividend. You actually have a negative capital gain, a capital loss, the expected price of the stock. The price is expected to go down by about $5. But when you put it all together, the fact that you've got this big dividend, but you've also got this capital loss, you wind up in a case where you would expect a return of 12%. So the point of this is, don't say, oh, it's a horrible stock because the price is expected to go down. When you're looking at return, when you're looking at expected return, you need to make sure you take everything into account.